I've got a pretty quick project today. I'm going to give this pillow a makeover. This is my mom's pillow. She uses it in her recliner for her ankles, and every time she gets up and down, she has to move it and readjust it, and it can be a real pain. Very annoying. So not only am I going to beautify it, but I am also going to make it more functional for her. I'll be doing a little bit more paper piecing, and I'm still trying to use up these scraps. One of my favorite things about foundation paper piecing with freezer paper is that the little pieces are reusable, which is fantastic. It means I don't have to go through the whole process of gluing and cutting and blah, 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 you know? I used these pieces a couple weeks ago to make a mini quilt, and I could have also repurposed them to make my diamonds like this, but I wanted to cut down on bulk and fabric wastage and like the seam allowance, so I whipped up this little guy, and they're gonna go together. And it's funny I talked about fabric wastage because I did cut these pretty generous, my fabric, but I've had it forever and ever and ever. So basically I'm sick of it is what I'm saying. And also I wanted to be able to iron like this so that I don't have to iron over the ink today. Another reason actually is that it's a lot simpler to cut up a bunch of uniform squares than it is to go and try to get these triangles and everything. I could just go 3 by 3, okay, I'm done. I also like this fabric for my mom because she likes cherry blossoms. So all in all, I think it's going to work out. I've gotten several comments lately about the way I cut. Not only that it's weird, but also people recently have been telling me that they're afraid for my safety when I use my rotary cutter, and I just want to reassure people I've been cutting with a rotary cutter for years and years and years. I've never cut myself. There are several simple safety tips and rules that I always observe when I'm rotary cutting, and I'm very aware that it could hurt me. I'm a worrywart, so I've gone through all of the different possibilities. I've thought of everything you've probably thought of, and I promise you I'm being safe. When I cut like this, like that, I am using the exact same rules I use with any other rotary cutter. And I've never lost control or lost precision when I cut like that. So please don't worry about me. I do it enough for myself. For those of you who are curious, this is my sewing setup right here. So I have my paper pieces all prepped over here, and then these are the pieces I will be sewing on. I have my thread bin, and up over here I have this bright light that I can point my pieces at to make sure everything is lined up well. And then over to the side I have an extra little wool mat, and I do use this, but not when it's summertime because it gets way too hot in this little corner if I have the iron right here. So right now, mainly it is a pincushion, but it is really, really helpful in the winter to use this for paper piecing because I don't have to get up and iron things and move around and take time shuffling around. I can just do it right here. But at the moment, I will be chain piecing these, and I will be getting up to go over to my iron a little bit later on. So I skipped ahead a bit and I finished my diamonds, but I couldn't skip my favorite part, the trimming, because this looks like a mess. That looks like nothing's gonna work out. And then you trim it and it's magically beautiful and I love it. And I use this rotating mat to trim, to square up things, but about 10% of the time I forget that it rotates and I just rotate the block itself and I feel very silly. But otherwise, I really like the rotating mat. Just user error about 10% of the time. I also like to sometimes put it at an angle when I'm trimming because I can more easily cut at this angle than at that angle, this feels like an awkward cutting angle, but because I have a camera in front of my face, it's not really an option right now. I could also use a more appropriately sized ruler, but this one is just so slippery. I need to figure out a way to fix that. Well, I have some grips that I could put on the back, but I just like this one so much better. It grips so well. Look, I'm actually remembering Gold Star. And then beautiful, beautiful. I love that. And I also already trimmed up all of my little diamonds, or my little triangles too. So I just have a few more of these to go, and then I can put everything together. So a couple weeks ago, when I first used this template, several people contacted me about where they could find it. And long story short is I designed these myself using a couple different design programs. So you can't really get them anywhere as of now. But someone also mentioned wanting to buy it from my shop. So let me know if I upload some digital downloads for these templates. Would you be interested? They'd be pretty cheap. Probably just $1. No, in fact, just $1 for now. If I have to expand and make more sizes, then maybe more. But for now, I could upload these for $1 to my shop. But if a couple people are interested, I will do a little update and include these guys. Okay, so when I'm arranging my pieces, I'm going to do 2 diamonds and then a square. Then my square and 2 diamonds. And I'm not really paying attention to where the colors are landing right now. I'm going to move that around later. But I am purposefully offsetting the diamonds so that I don't have to worry about matching any seams. So I can be super fast and loose with this. And I also didn't want to have to worry about getting my diamonds perfectly lined up. You know, so that all the points were all exactly the same. So this should be a lot easier to construct, but it should also just be faster. I'm actually really liking the contrast between my diamonds and my triangles compared to the background fabric. So they're really popping. I like that. Now, when I was planning out the size of my pieces, I ended up rounding a little bit just to make the measurements easier for construction and cutting out the pieces and whatnot. So I'm imagining that my finished size, once all of the seam allowance is gone, is going to be a little short of what I actually need. So I'm going to probably add a border all around just to make it up to the size that it needs to be. And then I can make it into a pillow. I can do the flaps and all the whatever I need to do. And as part of that pillow design, I'm going to include little straps that come out the sides that I can tuck underneath her recliner and pin the pillow in place, so she doesn't have to move it all the time. So it's gonna look something like this. I'm gonna move some of the pieces around here and there just to make it feel a little bit more balanced, because there's a lot more of the black fabric on this side than on this side. So I'm not gonna go crazy, but I'm just going to try to balance it out a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and sew this off camera, and then I need to think about how I want to quilt it. I know that I'm just quilting the top of the pillow, and there's no need to quilt the back. But I don't know if I want to be like super decorative or if I want to make it more of a utility sort of stitch. So that's something to think about. Okay, my pillow panel is all ready. I've added a scrappy border all around, mainly because, as I said before, this is for my mom's pillow. So she requested it be just a little bit bigger because she likes to move around the pillow fluff to cradle her ankles and whatnot. So she wanted a little bit of wiggle room for her pillow inside the cover, just like her old one. I've also glue basted this panel onto the batting, and this is one of the reasons why I never throw away batting, is I always have a little project that it'll come in handy with. So even for these weird scraps, I can just cut them out and they work perfectly. So now it is time to quilt up this panel before I finish the cover, the pillow cover, and I could do something super fancy and elaborate, but I want to do just a real simple outline of this negative space, the zigzags, and try to avoid the bulky seams as much as possible. And I just sort of want to unify the negative space. So I think I can do that with 2 lines going through, and maybe that'll also help the diamonds pop up a little bit more. But who knows, we'll see what happens after I've quilted. Oh, also a side note, I glue basted this, and that means that sometimes my edges don't get caught quite as well as I would like them to. So I'm going to do a really fine basting line all around the edges of this quilt, or this panel, and then I will quilt it up. Okay, I am really excited because I'm almost done. I finished my quilting, and I really like how it turned out. It's very simple, but it sort of pulls it together in a really nice way. It makes it feel finished and done, and I love it. I also finished these straps, and I made them so that they would match the sides that they're going to come out of, like this. So I'm going to center this, and then I'm going to baste them down, because if I try to pin them and then sew everything all at once, it always gets off center. It gets tilted weird. So I'm going to baste those down. And side note, I always forget how much I hate making these kinds of things, straps or cords or whatever you want to call them. I hate making them, and I always forget how much I hate it until I'm trying to turn them right side out again. So frustrating. I also pieced and hemmed the pieces that are going to go on the back of the pillowcase. And again, I've done it so that the grays match the sides that they're going to meet. So dark gray on this side, light gray on this side, and I think that'll help the cord sort of blend in and not look too weird. Like if I had made this light color out of this gray, I think it might have been sort of jarring. But I think this way it's going to be really nice and easy on the eyes. So after I baste the cords down, I'm going to put right sides together with the short flap first, and the hem is going to be in the middle. And then I'm going to do the bigger flap, right sides together, raw edge here, hem here, and then I'm going to sew all the way around the edge. Then I can just flip it right side out, and it's done. I'm so excited. It's going to come together really fast. One thing I do want to say is I am so tempted to round the corners of this pillow just really slightly. I probably won't. No, I definitely won't, but I am tempted to do it. Because sometimes I feel like if you have pillows with perfectly square corners, they kind of stick out weird. They're like weirdly stiff and they don't look very nice. I think to combat that, maybe I just will be sort of lazy about pressing out the corners. So I'll purposefully leave them sort of dull instead of pointy. It's just a weird personal preference there. I'm going to go ahead and sew this all off camera, and I'll see you again in a second so you can see the final product. Okay, here we go. The finished pillow cover. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I think my mom's going to like it too. So just as a reminder, this is the original. I'm going to take the pillow out and put it in here. And here it is with the pillow in it. And remember, my mom wanted a little bit of wiggle room, and I'm worried I didn't give her enough. There is a little bit, so it can move around a little bit and get rearranged, but it's a little tight around this way, so hopefully she still likes it. And I'm going to show you how this is going to look in the chair, but basically these ties at the edges, they're not supposed to tie to each other. They're going to go over the recliner and under, and I'm going to pin it under there to hold it in place. So this is what it looks like attached to her chair. As you can see, she is also a crafter. She instilled in me a love of crafting. So this is what it looks like with the footstool down. And this is what it looks like with the footstool up. So I'm pretty pleased with it. I really like it. I hope that it works out well for her, and I hope the cat doesn't mess it up. Thanks for spending time with me today, quilters. If you want to support this channel and help me buy supplies and materials for future videos, please visit my Buy Me a Coffee page linked in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss upcoming videos. And I'll see you again real soon. Bye!